Hello and welcome to Network 18. WPP and Group M have come out with the 10th annual report called the Sporting Nation on the Indian sports industry. They do a phenomenal job year after year in bringing us the minutest details of what makes the sports industry tick. And this is the 10th edition that they've come out with, and it tells us about the sponsorships and the marketing trends for the year that has just gone by, and what were the numbers that were registered, and what is the coming year looking like. Today we have with us Mr. Vinit Karnik, Head Sports, eSports and Live Entertainment at Group M South Asia, who's going to talk to us about this report and a lot more. Hi Vinit,
Hello,
welcome to
hello.
the
How are
show.
you feeling?
Thank you, all good. And I was just remembering the report that came out the last year, and we were
True.
still kind of coming out of the pandemic. And it was the report showed us a lot of promise coming from the kind of phase that we were coming. And now when I'm seeing this year's report, well, that those promises seem to have taken gone further by leaps and bounds.
Absolutely,
So
Srini. Absolutely. In fact, I mean, it's a very, very valid point. In fact, a lot of people today, also a lot of industries, a lot of businesses today also are talking about recovery post-COVID. The happy news in the beginning of this conversation, Srini, is that the sports industries India has not only recovered after 2019, it has actually grown leaps and bounds. In fact, to give you a very quick perspective in the beginning of this show, is we have actually grown 49% over 2021 numbers, which is huge. So in 2021 we were about 9,500 odd crores, and today in 2022 we are actually about 14,209 crores to be precise. That's a huge growth. And because we spoke about COVID in 2019, if you looked at the numbers, it was somewhere around 9,000 odd crores. So if you look at from 2019 over 2022, it's almost over 50%.
right now, while we're talking about this huge jump, we are also witnessing that cricket once again, like forever, is kind of the primary catalyst in this entire development. And the market revolves around this one sport. So from a cricketing standpoint, what is this what is this phase telling you, kind of, if you use cricket as a storytelling perspective? Yeah.
See, if you use cricket as a storytelling perspective, it's very clearly that 85% of the 14,000 odd crores that we're talking about is cricket. So, which means that the number would be somewhere around 12,100 odd crores, is what contribution to cricket to the entire sport industry has been, which very clearly cements itself as as a number one sport with an incremental growth of almost 44% over last year. Now, when you say 44%, it's on a very high base. So it's actually a very healthy and a high growth for cricket as a sport. And obviously, a couple of factors that are driving it are without a doubt the Indian Premier League (IPL), the bilaterals, because bilaterals were quite a lot, almost 60 plus bilaterals India played in 2022, and of course it was a World Cup year as well. So obviously, yeah, I mean, so cricket obviously rules the roost, and all these numbers are predominantly almost to the tune of 85% coming on the back of cricket.
So the IPL clocked 1,000 crore in sponsorships the last year, and in 15 years, this was the most phenomenal year, for the T20 league. So kind of the jump, and when we're looking at these numbers, which we're saying are impressive, we're not like we're not looking at this story from the last 2 or 3 year perspective, right? I mean, in 15 years, has this been India's best growth story yet?
Absolutely, without a doubt, in the last 15 years, if you look at one year on year, I mean, this is the biggest growth story as 49% growth that we are talking about. And actually, the factors, as we spoke earlier, right? I mean, see, last year IPL added two new IPL teams, right? So that franchise fee has come into the economy, which was not there because IPL teams have stopped paying franchise fee after the 10th year. So two new
Yeah.
teams actually fuel that from a freshness perspective, from an additional incremental revenue perspective. Now, also because IPL is such a popular property in cricket in India, that these two teams have actually done extremely well in their first year of sponsorship. So in addition to the 8 teams, 2 teams got added, and almost about 150 to 200 crores of incremental revenue got added to the team's kitty. Yeah. Uh, as I said earlier, 67 bilateral matches India played in 2022. In 2021, they played only 36 matches. So that's another incremental jump in terms of more cricket happening, and therefore that much more number of revenue. So if you look at only from a cricketing perspective, which is three factors, which is the on ground spends, which is typically the central revenues like the Tatas, Paytms, Dream 11, Rupee, Mastercard. So that bunch plus the team sponsorships. So all the 10 teams have got almost 10 team sponsorships. Plus they do a lot of partnerships, which are out of the jersey partnerships, and the franchise fee. These three components put together, if you look at it, only these three, cricket would have grown 100%. I mean, the 99% is the number in our report, but I mean, if you have to round it off, it's almost 100%.
Right. But having said that, sorry to digress a bit here, but having said that, I'm also seeing that while the space is growing in terms of the sponsorship, kind of the numbers that we're seeing, what is also simultaneously happening is that the industry ecosystem is also growing. So the potential sponsor today has that much more space and opportunity to go and park his money than probably what was the case and scenario a few years ago. And in that, the fact that IPL manages to command top dollar says something about the property vis-a-vis everything else in cricket right now.
Absolutely, because see the advantage IPL has, that it's calendarized. Okay, the biggest advantage IPL has, that everyone knows that every summer, okay, in India you have got a carnival called the Indian Premier League. So from a marketeers or a brand manager standpoint, he or she can actually plan their brand launches, plan their campaigns around this period. Okay, and without a doubt, today from a reach perspective and from a television or a digital engagement perspective, IPL remains the most viewed and most reached property in the country. So that's exactly what advertiser delight is, right? From every marketer standpoint, I mean, he or she is always chasing eyeballs, and from a consumer standpoint, all the eyeballs are here necessarily from a media perspective. So today it's become a calendarized event where the marketing community is planning their campaigns, launches around the Indian summer. And that's an added advantage. And Indian summer, you know that the schools and colleges exams are over, people are a little bit eased out on timings. I mean, you know that most of our country predominantly is a young country. We have a young India, and obviously sport promises appointment viewing, and IPL obviously is on at the top of that. So all these things coming together makes it a very a property which you just can't miss or ignore.
Very well said, very truly said that you talked about the calendar, and you reminded me of a conversation that have had a long time back with BCCI, where I remember talking about how a home season can be so fruitful and so kind of benefiting in so many ways. You said that in summer holidays India plays the IPL at home, where parents know that these 2 months they are going to be reserved for a lot of fun around cricket. Imagine the months of Dasera, Deepavali, Christmas, and so on being reserved for some of the other kind of cricket. Well, anyways, to moving on, the achieved peak numbers this season. So, what is the challenge now? The challenge now is to sustain these numbers and going forward. What are you sensing in this regard? Like, will the property be able to hold on to these numbers? Why I'm asking you is because the rush with which I see sponsors coming in and wanting to go out, and I'm sure there's a science behind it. but better to hear it from you.
Okay, so I think it's fine. Okay, in my mind, Srini, I don't think that's too much of a problem, at least at this point in time. And I would, if I have to give you a predictive, at least for the next 5 years, I don't think we should worry about this particular thing, because there is still a lot of room left within the IPL ecosystem to actually scale up. Okay, because we have just seen a growth of number of matches from 60 to 74 on the back of two new IPL teams, and at some stage in a year or two, this 74 will go up till 94 matches, right? So there's a story very clearly out there. And make no mistake, cricket is not going anywhere. Because Indian audience just loves it. If this is an 85% story in terms of the whole pie of sports industry, cricket is one sport. If done well, if innovating, if you innovate it quite well and regularly, I think there is still a lot of room and need into it. To give you an example, look at what just happened couple of months back with WPL, right? The Women Premier League was not on the radar 2 years back, but BCCI got it right, got it up there from a audience and a federation perspective, and see the response WPL got from the corporate India and from the fans. I think it's, from an inaugural season standpoint, it's a fantastic story, right? So WPL will obviously bring in a fresh breath of energy and air into the whole IPL and cricketing ecosystem, because eventually, in my mind, it's an extension of Indian Premier League. Okay,
Right.
now think about it, that if you look at some of the global standards in terms of the way globally leagues have progressed and sustained themselves in the US and the European market, I don't think time is away. Maybe 2 or 3 years from now, BCCI might come up with a junior IPL, yeah, under 19 or under 16, under 7, whatever. I don't know. That will eventually create another fresh layer in terms of the ecosystem, and it's a
Right.
natural progression, right? Okay, if someone comes up with a under 19 or under 17 IPL, it's going to be a natural extension. I am pretty sure that at that point in time, also there will be enough takers in terms of the broadcast and streaming partners, the extension to the current IPL team ownerships. So there's lot of things that we can still do in the T20, in the IPL format. So I'm a big bullish person on that, and I would want to very clearly and upfront say that I don't think we should worry about these big numbers thrown at us from a broadcast, because
Also,
I think India still has that story, and we still have scope to grow.
Also, Vineet, one of the things I realize, I mean, I don't know whether I'm digressing or I'm on the point here, on the ball here. It's a trend that I've been looking at. Startups, I mean, new age businesses that are looking to partner with cricket at various levels. You have these fintech startups. For example, I'm just giving you as a random example. A fintech startup comes in, wants to kind of look at cricket from a sponsorship standpoint to, kind of get its numbers going, right? Subscription numbers going or whatever, and probably associates with cricket or IPL for a season, max 2 seasons, gets what it wanted, and is ready to move on. Doesn't need to stay there and continue to block the money from a sponsorship standpoint, right?
And
So
nothing wrong
this is
about
not
it.
an exactly
Yeah,
nothing. It can't be seen as an unhealthy trend, right? I mean,
not at all.
in fact, it is a healthy trend that a sponsor has got what it was looking for in a very short duration.
Which also means cricket delivers on a lot of brands objectives, which could be communication led, or some other objectives linked to marketing, right? So which means cricket delivers on advertiser or marketeers objectives. I mean, that's one way to look at it. Now I keep hearing this quite often, that in India there are short term deals, 1 year deal, 2 year deal. We are a different market, we need to recognize that, right? Everything that happens in the West not necessarily need to happen in India. Okay, so therefore the very fact that you have got almost about 200 to 300 plus advertisers at any point in time on a cricket match in India itself is a great amount of testimony that the sport continues to grow and delivers on audiences and marketers' expectation. That's the way I would look at it.
Right. Beneath, moving away from this, look at the size and scale at which the IPL has grown. I mean, and much of that can be identified with the value that the broadcast rights brought to the league. And we were discussing when the broadcast rights were sold, we were discussing the per match value and probably comparing it with the finest leagues anywhere around the world, right? But in line with that kind of a growth, has the IPL managed to attract the international markets and international brands the way it needs to? I mean, recently I heard the news that RCB has got Qatar Airways on board. If that is true, then that's a very pleasing development, But how many franchises? For example, Mumbai Indians, credit goes to them for setting the benchmark, when they got Samsung on their jersey. But do you see, more international brands, the need for it to be associating with IPL, or it is essential in India market and we don't need to?
Absolutely, absolutely, Srini. I mean, look at it today. The title sponsor of the bilateral series of India is Mastercard. It's a global brand. Okay, Mastercard also came on board for, if I remember it right, for the first 5 years they were on the back of Mumbai Indians. Yeah. Today Qatar Airways has come. I think there's lot of brands who are considering looking at India as a marketing destination, and we have seen so many examples in the past, uh, uh, in a year or two time frame, that brands tend to use IPL as their destination to market. Today, look at the Saudi tourism. I mean, we saw the Saudi tourism being launched in India for the first time. I had never seen Saudi advertising tourism in India before this season of IPL. Aramco is an oil and gas company from Saudi Arabia. I mean, so which means they're obviously looking at India and Indians to promote their destinations, right? You're forgetting that I think a couple of years back, the Dubai Expo were on one of the IPL teams. I forgot which teams, but they did advertise with one of the IPL teams to cater to the Indian audience. So somewhere down the line, IPL is becoming, or Indian cricket is becoming, a destination of global brands to look at Indians as a marketing platform. And I think it's a great way to look at it, because somewhere today, we were discussing about 5 minutes back about the growth story of IPL, and we spoke about WPL and Junior IPL. Uh, Nothing stops BCCI to think a shorter format with the 10 IPL teams going and playing in some other country. Now, some other country might host IPL at some point in time. I mean, there's so many ways one can look at it, I think. And also,
Possibilities.
make no mistake, we are a 15-year-old IPL. We don't have a history of 50 years. And between you and me, if we are discussing so many different ideas with the passion that's on the screen right now, and I can sense that, yeah, imagine what BCCI must be thinking, or the right holders are thinking. So there is plenty of room, plenty of
Right.
opportunities within the ecosystem. It's just we need to wait for the right time to unlock those and move on.
Right. Also, we are witnessing such a huge shift in the consumption trends too, right? With the advent of technology, with the with Jio Cinema coming in, the live sports broadcast, the onset of technology, the slick mediums that we are now witnessing, consumption of sport is changing forever, and we are, right at the beginning of that, journey. What kind of a near and distant future are you witnessing here?
See, of course, I mean, the consumption patterns are changing. I think the entire OTT ecosystem has really grown, and COVID actually has catapulted the entire ecosystem, and the amount of time Indians spent watching the OTT content during COVID has, in a way, created that habit, right? So, I mean, that will continue. From a sport perspective, the reason why it is such an exciting topic is because sport today is the only medium which is still talking about appointment viewing, because you cannot watch sport highlights, right? And you need to watch it live, and that's what creates the excitement between. From a viewer standpoint and a platform standpoint. Interestingly, Srini, the way I will say it is, this is the 2023 is a year of discovery for India. It's a new year for even the media professionals like us to see what are the trends shaping up, because this is the first time the cricket rights, IPL rights in particular, okay, are with two different right holders. The television is with Disney Star, and the streaming is with Viacom's Jio Cinema. Uh, so this is a year of discovery where we are also looking forward to some trends and data which should happen in the next 20 to 40, 30 days. Once the data comes, obviously we'll all crunch it and see which way the audience is going. But at this point in time, I would say exciting times. Yes, there is a change in pattern, but in which way and what is the result of that? Time will say. We'll have to go by hard-coded data, and therefore I call it a year of discovery for Indian sport, predominantly cricket, because
Nice.
that's where the numbers are.
Very true, very true. You're very correct in saying that by the time this season of IPL ends, we're going to be looking at a lot of opportunities to try and understand which way things are headed, and it's a very exciting time. And well, thank you so much, Vinny. Thank you for your time. Sporting Nation does an absolutely awesome job annually, year after year, in bringing us the minutest details of how the Indian sports industry keeps ticking. Vinit Karnik, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Rini, for having me on the show. In fact, extremely happy and proud because Sporting Nation is a 10th edition of Sporting Nation. I mean, we have finished a decade, and I keep saying there's not too many things in Indian sport have survived 10 years. So I mean, thanks to all of you for your love and support. So thanks for having me on the show once again. Thank you.
Pleasure, pleasure.